Here with Canton Mayor Thomas Bernabei. Last time I talked with Mayor Bernabei, it was in the same place, the Arcadia Grill, where you were celebrating your inauguration.
And tonight we're celebrating the park levy fundraiser.
Okay, and you're looking to get that levy passed because it does impact on possibly on City of Canton finances. Give us the current number that, and I know that's moving factor, but in working on the budget, what is the deficit that you think that you have to cover?
Well, the current deficit, we have that pegged pretty well at this point in time, is approximately $5.1 million.
Okay.
So we're taking a lot of steps in order to work our way through the budget process. Of course, by law, a municipality has to adopt a final budget by March 31 of the year. We would hope to adopt one, much earlier than that. We've had many meetings with council and with the finance committee, with other elected officials, department heads, and union leaders in the city to initiate conversations. We continue to analyze lots of different kinds of data to understand what we can and cannot cut. I mean, sometimes it looks easy to make a cut to a program or to something, and you need to analyze it to make sure that you also understand some of the unintended consequences of making cuts. So we're trying to look at everything in a very detailed, orderly manner. I mean, I think that we're bringing that analysis to a close. We're looking very, very closely at projections on income and revenue, which really is also the critical part of this. Two critical parts to budgeting, and one is what is the revenue and what are our projections on future revenue, and the second part is what are our expenditures and how can we better control them. So those are the things that we look at, and the difference between, which is the problem, between 2015 levels of expenditures, which is about $56 million, and 2016 projected revenue, which is about $51 million. That's the $5 million that we have to close that gap on in order to have a balanced budget. So that's the process that we're going in, and we continue to work through it. We continue to have meetings. We continue to analyze and reanalyze and reanalyze, and continue to talk to everybody about the possible and potential alternatives in dealing with it.
Before the election, you knew that you had at least $3 million in deficit. Were you somewhat, if not hugely surprised to see that it was much higher than that?
Surprised that it went higher, but again, during the election cycle, of course, you attempt to be conservative but realistic, so you don't want to make wild and crazy claims that it's going to be a higher number. So we were talking about in the area plus or minus $3 million, and in fact it came in at a much worse number. So it is what it is. It's a issue that we have to overcome, and again, we just take it rationally and systematically and deal with it, and we will work our way through this. And I think that everyone will, ultimately understand the need to make cuts, and we will work our way through and try to get everybody on board as much as we can with the cuts that we intend to make.
Anything at this stage that you could say to characterize what might be coming in terms of cuts?
Not really, other than to tell you what the process is, and of course the process is to make as many cuts as we can without affecting people's jobs in government, and without affecting, to the extent that we can, the level of city services. At the point in time, so you try to, number one, eliminate inefficiencies. The first step, of course, is to make cuts where we can from areas that do not affect personnel. The City of Canton's budget, and this is the real difficulty, is 85.5% of Canton's general fund budget, and that's police, fire, CANCOM, streets, and general government. The mayor's office, city council, law department, auditor, treasurer, all of those operate out of the general fund. But 85.5% of the general fund budget is in personnel, salaries, wages, overtime, and benefits. That means that when you start making cuts, the remaining 14.5% is the only area that you can cut without starting to affect people and the delivery of services by people. And so you don't have a lot of room to make cuts when your budget is weighted that much on the personnel end. So that makes it difficult.
On that personnel factor, and I want you to comment briefly on this. When you were with the county as county commissioner, I understood that your benefits costs were about 41% of the salary, and
I think it's closer to 35 on average.
Okay.
35 on average.
When I was told that it was 40, I questioned that because I thought it was less than that. But then I hear that over the city of Canton, the number I'm being told is like 50%.
No, that's inaccurate. Again, it's closer to the 35 area.
So it's about the same that you had at the county? Okay. Yes. So that just was an erroneous report that I was given. Now, of course, other than your election as mayor of Canton, there was a significant election contest on the Canton Parks levy that went down to defeat, and I think that surprised most folks. Did it surprise you?
Well, again, I was so immersed, of course, in my own election. Two things. I was immersed in my own election, so I wasn't paying attention to a lot of other things because, as we've talked about, you have to keep your eye on the ball and stay focused, and that was a constant need 24/7. The second thing was I don't think that a strong campaign that brought the awareness of the Parks and Recs levy, was run in November. I've looked at the numbers regarding the money spent and the money raised, and it was, relatively small for that kind of a campaign. Not much of a visible sign campaign. Some things were done, but a lot more could have been done. And there was also the issue, of course, with the language on the ballot. There truly is no tax increase because there's a parks levy with 4 mills and a rec levy with 1 mill, so everyone is currently paying 5 mills. But the present proposition on the ballot is taking parks from 4 to 5 mills with no recreation levy. So it's truly no tax increase because the bottom line is still 5 mills to everyone. But when people see that ballot language, they see the word additional in it, and that existed in November, and that is going to exist again on the March ballot. So that is one aspect of this that we have to work to educate. I think that what is happening is we have two great people that have volunteered and jumped into this campaign, and they are dedicated to this.
And those people are?
One is Sam Slyman, who is just working night and day on this issue. And again, this is in addition to the Parks and Rec people that worked on it before. The other is J.R. Rinaldi. The two of them have really organized both the fundraising side of this thing and the campaign side of this thing, the political campaign side of this. So everything is being done in this campaign from, again, the first part of it is raising money, but a significant budget for mailers to chase absentee ballots, for radio. Ultimately, we will have money for newsprint. There's some door hangers. There's a strong sign campaign. They have 1,000-yard sign locations, and those are going up now. And I think they have 50 large locations, and those are already up. So just a significant amount of work has been done and is planned to be done. And there's going to be door-to-door campaign for at least 3 weeks leading up to March 15th. So anything and everything that one would do in a very well-run campaign is being run in this campaign. So I think that gives me a good degree of optimism. People are getting out and talking to the neighborhood groups, and they've responded positively. Everyone has jumped on board to help to endorse it. But again, it's still difficult. You're in a presidential primary, and a lot of people that don't normally vote may be voting, and you don't know how they're going to vote and respond. And you also have the ballot issue. So you have some issues, and it did lose the last time, so we have to overcome the fact that it lost the last time. So there's a lot of work to be done, which is why this fundraiser is here tonight, but everybody has jumped in. But those two in particular have just done a yeoman's job in bringing this thing into a really grade A, and I don't give my grades easily, a grade A run campaign. So we're giving it the best shot. But it's important to the city.
Yeah, what are the stakes to the parks and to the city finances?
Again, parks and recs, but the stakes are, number one, of course, parks are very, very important. They're important to our economic development because we want people to have green space when they live in the city, to go and enjoy the parks. We have some great parks, obviously. We have the great walking track, Willock Field, some wonderful parks, and people do use them a lot. The parks also support the Southeast Community Center, which is very, very important, and the Southwest Community Center, which is the Babe Stern Club.
Is that South? Oh, okay, that's Southwest. And then the Peel
Coleman
Center is Southeast.
Center,
Okay.
Yes. So both of those are supported in large part by the Parks and Rec levy, so very, very important. And so there are many, many programs that are at risk. I think there's something like 800 acres of parks in the city of Canton. And so this levy maintains them and maintains the recreational activities. It's important to the Hall of Fame Village. The parks are the connector between the Hall of Fame Village and downtown. It's just important to keep our young people and young professionals. We talk a lot about that. Just having that quality of living parks is an important part. So it's all important that way.
Right. So if the levy fails, then on January 1st of 2017, there will be no money for the parks in terms of it having its own dedicated funding. Is that correct?
Yeah. The present levies, both the parks 4 mil levy and the recreation 1 mil levy, both expire on December 31 of 2016. So there will be no money, and even if you pass a levy then in 2017, there's no collections in 2017 and 2018. So it's very, very important now because as difficult as this primary may be, I think that running a campaign of this nature in November with the presidential election may even be more difficult, again, because of all the immense amounts of attention and money that is spent on those campaigns. It drowns out any effort that you have to educate and inform and advertise the existence of the levy. So
in that year, how much money, you're not going to shut down the parks in Canton, but how much money do you think that would drain off from city finances general fund just to keep a minimal park operation going?
Well, what I have requested, and again, this dovetails back into our earlier conversation about the city's finances. Of course, before 2013, the City of Canton General Fund, and it was in a healthier condition, actually paid for the parks operation. It never paid for the rec operation. They always had their own board, but it did pay for the parks. In 2013, the voters passed a 4 mil levy, and the parks have now been operating on that without help from the general fund. But now that the general fund is this far underwater, again, there's going to be difficulties in 2017 and 2018. This is not a one-year fix or one-year problem, probably for Canton's general fund. It will be extremely difficult for Canton to dedicate any money back to parks and recreation in 17 or 18, if this levy should fail. So I have already advised both boards that they must be prepared. If we are unable to pass this levy now, of course we'll try to pass it again in November, but if they don't pass it now, they need to take the budgets that they have presently that they had hoped to expend in 2016 and actually survive through 2017 on those budgets and get to 2018 and the potential for more levy income, because as things stand now, it would be extremely difficult for the Canton's general fund to support the parks and recreation. And again, when we're making cuts and we're starting to get close to or we'll get into personnel, the difficult choices that we're making now, that would be a further difficult choice to choose between laying off X number of employees and or mowing the grass in the parks. Just hard questions, hard qualitative questions, and that's the kind of thing that faces us. So I want them to be in a position to actually survive 16 and 17 if the levy fails, and of course I'm hopeful and optimistic.
By making their own cuts, is that what you're saying?
By making their own cuts, absolutely.
Okay. So you don't expect, in the light of Canton General Fund difficulties, that the city will be putting any money the parks, and the parks are going to have to gut it out until they generate new money. Is that am I reading
Generally,
right?
I can't say that. I can't say that absolutely. And of course, we cross that bridge when we get to it in 2017, and that's where we are. And again, in 2017 in January, we'll be looking at Canton's general fund to see exactly where we are. I can't say that we wouldn't put any money into it, but based upon some projections that I have, it would be extremely difficult for us to contribute to Parks and Recreation in 2017 or 2018, and to do so would mean reducing some other services such as safety, roads, or something. I mean, that's how tight these budgets are. It's a choice of
Parks
one
are
thing versus
important,
another
but
thing.
safety is probably the number one priority, right?
So that's what we are facing, and that's why, again, I'm so appreciative of the effort that's being made on this levy right now.
Okay, well, thank you, Mayor Thomas Bernabei, Mayor of the City of Canton, Ohio.
And Martin, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you for a while.
Okay, well, I'll be coming back to council before long. I'm sure you can't wait.
Okay, that's fine, and give my best to Mary.
Okay, thank you.